What if everything we've been told about autoimmunity is wrong? I'm Elizabeth Yarnell. After awakening partially blind one morning in 1999, a doctor told me my multiple sclerosis would put me in a wheelchair within 10 years. I refused to accept that as the end of the story, so I started investigating. Welcome to the Inflammation Investigator, the podcast that uncovers the inflammation lurking underneath your ailments. Because autoimmune and chronic conditions should not be viewed as death knells when they are actually alarm bells. I'm a traditional naturopath and founder of the Inflammation Academy. And in 2 episodes every week, we dig into what conventional medicine might be missing. If you're living with chronic or unexplained symptoms, this investigation is for you. Your body has been trying to tell you something. Let's start listening. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Inflammation Investigator. Today, we're going to talk a lot about yoga and how yoga can help with inflammation specifically. There's lots of aspects of yoga and fitness that we are going to delve into with today's expert, who is Carol Rubino. Carol is the owner of Lifespire Wellness LLC. She is a certified health and yoga fitness coach and a retired massage therapist with over 30 years of hands-on whole person wellness experience. Her work has evolved organically alongside her own life journey. She began her career as a massage therapist, spending 3 decades helping clients reconnect with their bodies, reduce stress, and heal through therapeutic touch. In her early 40s, she expanded into health coaching, guiding her massage clients through better health choices, movement, and overall wellness. In her late 40s and struggling with her own mysterious aches and pains, she deepened her passion for movement and vitality through yoga fitness. She now specializes in supporting professionals over 40 and retirees who are ready to address joint pain, restless sleep, anxiousness, and other age-related health conditions with a virtual, customized yoga fitness and private health coaching program, helping them build strength, mobility, confidence, and a sustainable yoga practice. She's also led transformative group experiences, including a 10-day sugar detox and a 28-day hydration challenge that has morphed into the Hydration Blueprint program, as well as a wellness-focused book group that fosters learning and connection. Across each role, from massage table to life choices to yoga mat, her work centers on presence, compassion, and empowering individuals to live better, feel good, and age well. Carol, welcome to the Inflammation Investigator. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth. It's great to be here.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited. We haven't really talked about this subject before on the pod, so we're going to dig deep into yoga, all things yoga. But let's start. How did you tell us your story in your own words? How did you get
Okay.
here?
So, like my bio said, I started in my late 40s taking yoga because I was starting to experience just different weird pains and uncomfortable and inflammation. And I had been a runner for many years and not uh, ended up stopping to do that because I was feeling it in my knees and my hips. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to find something else I can do that's a little gentler on my joints. Um, but along with that, just also experiencing just some weird aches and pains in my 40s, late 40s. And so I started going to the Y, attending their yoga class. And at one point they approached me and asked me if I would be interested in teaching. So I took their class, I took their training, I took the training for it and started teaching in, I think it was 2011. and taught till 2020 when the pandemic hit and everything kind of shut down. And so during that time is when I felt like things really escalated as far as went with my body. I started feeling just some really intense shoulder pain. I had back pain, low back pain, and I had two swollen knees for no apparent reason. Like there was just no rhyme or reason why this was happening. And I had not been doing my yoga practice and had not been teaching. So I thought, well, maybe I need to get back into that. And so I just it took 2 years. It took me 2 years to go back to teaching. So started back up in 2022. But during that time, it took me about 2 years to just ease back into a yoga practice because of the pain. It took me a while, but what happened was is when as I gradually eased into back into my yoga practice and then back into teaching, the pain subsided. I was able to function and move better. And then the other thing that happened during that time is from 2011 to 2020, I was just teaching, good yoga, just basic fitness yoga, and, kind of sometimes it could be kind of performative, that kind of stuff. And when I went through my 2 year period of just the pain and just using yoga as kind of like my movement medicine, I decided that I was going to change the way I taught yoga. And so I started working and focusing on more functional yoga, which is really taking some of the yoga that we learn in class and applying it in our everyday life, like things that we need to do to be able to get up and down off the floor, reaching back, reaching up, getting in and out of a chair, in and out of the bathtub, balance, all those things that as I get older, I think it's important for me, and I think it's important for uh, people who are over 40 and the retirees. So that's kind of how I got into this or went into this direction from massage therapy. So yeah.
I first discovered yoga myself in, wow, it was the late 1990s, early 2000s. And I went specifically because it was recommended to me as someone who had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis that yoga would be helpful. And I was lucky enough to find through the National MS Society a yoga instructor who actually focused on MS and made it very accessible. And I ended up falling in love not only with my instructor, but with yoga as a discipline and found it so helpful, so much movement. For the first time at that point, for the first time in my life, I was able to not go to my massage therapist twice a week to loosen up my back. And I realized that the stretches I was doing in yoga class were really working on those muscles that I had always thought absolutely just needed someone to touch them. So I personally am a big believer in the power of yoga. And I'm very interested to know how it is modified for yoga fitness, which isn't something we normally associate. I mean, yoga makes you fit because it strengthens and lengthens your your muscles, excuse me. But that's that's different than what you're talking about.
Mhm, mhm. I so yoga fitness is I kind of approach it from many aspects. So physical, mental, spiritual, because yoga covers all those three aspects. So for me, fitness is really more about the health of the health and the movement of the body, the health and the movement of our mental, and the health and the movement of our spiritual. And so really fitness for me is not about, oh, popping up into a handstand or, you know, I'm the performative yoga kind of um, uh, turns my head a little bit. And so for me, it's just more about the experience of yoga. It's more about, it's less about, how am I looking or, how does it look for me, and more about the experience. What am I experiencing in my body? And it is important to find or to research, uh, specialty yoga, because that is happening now. Yoga has evolved. It started 5,000 years ago. It was a man's, discipline and meditation in India. It moved to the West in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. And then from there, it has evolved into all kinds of styles. And so, um, when I say fitness, for me, it's just more about, tailoring and customizing it to someone's fitness level. And that could be, from really, 0 meaning really hard to 10 meaning I'm great and how can I get better, without it being so performative or about being a performer in it. So, yeah.
I liked your example about the handstand, right? Because that was never one of my goals was to like push up into a handstand. I never wanted or needed to do a handstand. And in fact, I don't even like to do the headstand in yoga because that makes me kind of dizzy and throws me off balance. But that's not essential to a yoga practice.
It's not essential. What's essential is stretching, movement, stillness, breathing, um, focus, the experience, all the things that make up that experience, a person's personal experience on their mat. And the thing is, too, is every time someone comes to their mat, their body's in a whole different space. It's not the same every time. So it's really important, I think, as instructors to teach participants that, like, every time you come to a class or you do a private session with somebody, maybe you were able to do, balance one day, and then the next time you came, it was just kind of like really hard. That all depends on the day and, what's going on in the body and the mind. And so it's really important to let people know that, to meet yourself where you're at on your mat every time you come to your mat. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard that yoga started out just for men.
Yeah. Yeah, in India.
I'm
Yeah,
having a little trouble processing that. I don't know why, because of course we're in a patriarchal world, and that makes absolute sense, but it just seems so wrong. But it's so much about the patriarchy is wrong, so that really is neither here nor there, right?
right, 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 right. And yeah, yeah. And and there's been some unfortunate incidences where participants were taken advantage of by these former what they call yogi gurus. And it's unfortunate, but it doesn't need to taint the world or taint the yoga uh, industry, business,
So
or
you
classes.
mentioned, yeah, you mentioned that yoga encompasses spiritual as well as physical and mental. Can you dig a little bit deeper into that?
Sure. So from a physical place, the yoga really benefits. So it's got a lot of benefits. So one of the things is it lowers the immune system. So let me back up a little bit. So a consistent yoga practice, you know, doing it consistently, will help kind of lower the immune system, or I mean, boost the immune system. It will help lower the cortisol level, the stress hormone. So, I was just thinking about this today. I was thinking, okay, so we have inflammation that's triggered by cortisol, that's triggered by stress, that's triggered by some sort of situation or event or person, right? So I think when people start to take yoga and start doing it consistently, it's kind of like when a runner starts running and they start to like it more and more and they get kind of addicted to it. They have that runner's high. I think
Oh,
I think people who start to take yoga and they start to notice how much better they feel physically, how much better they feel emotionally, that they want to continue to do it, then I think what happens is whatever the stressor event was, may not affect them the same, or it may. So then you see this decrease of, okay, the effect, the event or the person it's not affecting them so much. So there's less stress, less cortisol, less inflammation. So, you know, so from a physical standpoint, I think, and mental, it's really helpful. It also helps, yoga helps regulate the nervous system. So if someone's in a constant state of fight or flight, then doing a consistent yoga practice can bring that down to that rest and digest. That parasympathetic system can just like, okay. And I just love every time I teach a group class, my favorite part is at the end when we're all done and you could just see the peace in almost everybody's eyes, just the peace, just kind of, oh, and then they're like, you know and
Hmm.
that's what we do, that's what we do as a yoga instructors, is to help someone come in for an hour and just let them be on their mat wherever they're at. So yes, so the physical, emotion and emotional, mental, and then the spiritual, there's like, because there's a little bit of a discipline in yoga, there's a flow it could be flow, which is a vinyasa yoga, or hatha, which is more holding the poses. But there's still a focus, and the focus is not what's going on out here, what's everybody doing. It's more about what's going on here, and how is it feeling? And do I need to make adjustments? Am I holding my breath? Can I breathe a little more? What thoughts are going through my head? Or can I, really drop down out of my brain and into the body? So yeah, I think, and then just the nurturing, the self-compassion, it can bring out the self-compassion. And so I think those three, yeah, I think mind, body, spirit, yoga just really addresses all three in a sweet way.
Yes, and if you've actually done yoga consistently, you can very much feel that in your own life and in your own body and in your mind. You sleep better, you breathe better, you
Yeah.
move better, all of
Yeah.
that comes
Yes.
together.
Yes. Yes.
I know there are some specific yoga poses that are helpful for specifically for inflammation. Are
Hmm.
you familiar with any of those?
In fact, one that I do regularly each week. So I go to the gym and I work out at 3, 4 mornings a week. And I do elliptical, and then I do weights, weight machines. And one of the things that happens sometimes is, is that spot in my low back kind of creeps in every once in a while, depending on what I'm doing. And the best thing that I have found for me personally is doing a wide knee child's pose, where I'm on hands and knees. I rock my hips back towards my heels and just, fold over towards the floor. It's a child's pose. So if you've seen a child just kind of, they kind of sleep, I don't know, hunched over on the floor with their head to one side or forehead on the floor. But for me personally, and then I hold it for 3, 4 minutes, on the gym, on the mat, people are, whatever. And I hold it. And then when I get up, and I start walking around, the rest of the day, my back feels fine. So I know that at least that one pose, will work and feels good for me. So child's pose, a restful pose, but not everybody can get into it. So that's the other thing. Making yoga accessible for everybody is becoming more and more popular, because, many people get left out, people who are disabled, people who are limited in their mobility, people who have injuries or who have surgeries, things that who can't or aren't supposed to do things. And so trying, learning to adapt, listening and learning to adapt and show people different ways that they can stretch. A stretch doesn't have to be a complete, fold forward. Just leaning forward can give someone enough stretch. So back to that. So child's pose, standing, folding forward, stretches the back of the legs. You could sit and do the same thing. You can lay on your back, pull your knees into your chest, rocking side to side. You could do they call it happy baby, where, you know, knees are bent out wide, feet are up in the air, and you're hanging on to like some portion of your leg and just rocking back and forth with a big smile on your face. um, you know, twists if they're comfortable. Again, you have to be careful with, spinal injuries and spinal surgeries and whatnot. Breathing, probably breathing would breathing is probably the easiest and the thing that everybody could do, could do. And, just big inhale through the nose or mouth and a big exhale through the nose or mouth. So that's probably one of the biggest, which is a key piece in yoga. Yoga is about pairing the breath with a pose or a posture, and then either in a flow movement or holding it, pose. So I'm breathing. So yeah.
Will you describe a little bit more of that belly breathing, which is not necessarily the normal way people breathe?
That's exactly right. So when we were born uh, belly breathing. We were belly breathers when we were born, when we were birthed. But somewhere along the way, we lost that. We were told to suck it in when we inhale and push it out when we exhale. Well, actually, it's the opposite. So when you inhale, and I say inhale through the nose or mouth because some people might have sinus issues, and so inhaling through the nose might not be easy. So they have that option. But to inhale through the nose and expand the torso, expand the belly, expand the ribs. And then when you exhale through the nose or mouth, you can just let everything relax in. And I can't tell you how many, especially older people, and I think it's because of the whole etiquette. You hold yourself up, breathe in, you suck your belly in. It could be military as well, training. But I can't tell you how many people have said, "Oh, that is so hard for me to do because I'm so used to doing it the opposite way." And I say, "Well, you don't remember, but we all were born with belly breathing, that belly breathing ability. So if you watch babies and watch their bellies, that's what they do. They inhale, puff up their belly, exhale, relax their belly. So it's about just remembering and going back to that kind of at infant stage of like, oh yeah, breathing. So yeah, and there's all kinds of breath breathing. I mean, there's counting breath, box breathing, which is 4 counts, inhale, hold 4 counts, exhale 4 counts, hold 4 counts. There's the recently come on one that I really like, which is inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. And that's kind of a nice one. And again, if people have asthma or breathing issues, again, we just need to be careful. And I always tell people, do what works for you. Do what works for you. And if you don't know, test it out and then you'll know. And I'll give different ways or different options for people. So, yeah.
I've always loved the visualizations about um, breathing in all the way to my belly as opposed to just stopping at my
Right.
chest
Right.
and following the breath with my mind as it goes down past all of those structures and tissues all the way into your belly and to where it actually pushes out your belly. And then the reverse, pushing in from the belly to push that breath all the way out through the chest and really empty the lungs.
And a nice loud sigh
And yes,
to go along with it. Yes. Yes. Yes.
yes, don't forget the
Yeah.
sigh.
Yes. Yes.
And another thing that I love about yoga is you don't actually have to go to a class to do it. You don't have to go to leave your house. You can do yoga pretty well over video.
hmm hmm
Do you teach mostly in person or in video?
I do a bit of both. I teach in person, uh, 3 group classes, actually 4 group classes, and they're all different ranges of ages from college to seniors. The virtual, I don't have a consistent virtual class. The virtual is actually through the program that I have, and that is set up such that I teach when someone hires me for that program. What we do is we chat about what their needs are. I figure out a sequence for them. We go through the sequence and tweak it, and then I will record it and send it to them for them to keep that they can practice. And that's a weekly, so it's a 6-week program. So they get 6 videos now, and that can change. I mean, I have recently had one where we did like a 30 to 40 minute each session, but then she wanted like 10 or 15-minute little increments. So I just spliced it so that she could take those little increments and do them at work. So it was kind of nice to kind of have that little bit of variety and being able to customize that for her so that it fits her lifestyle and it fits her kind of her needs and what she's ready for. She wasn't ready to go to a class or do a full hour or even, full 30 minutes. She just wanted to do it in increments. And so that's the beauty of being able to customize and work with people one-on-one. So yeah, but you're right. There are videos, lots and lots of videos. So there you just I guess it just kind of and you can type in yoga for inflammation, and I'm sure there'll be tons of videos that will come up. So you know yeah, you just need just to be careful when you do it. Just make sure that because the tendency, monkey see monkey do, people just feel like that they and are are taught to follow the instructor. So a lot of times when I'm teaching in a group class, I may show them the pose at first or the flow, then I won't do it again because I want them to kind of get into their rhythm of what we're doing, connecting the poses together and how does it feel, and not everybody looks the same, and it's not about that because again, we're dealing with all kinds of different body types and injuries, things that I don't know, but just have to be aware of. So yeah, yeah, it's
And I don't
amazing.
want to dismiss or diminish the positive effects of actually being in a group, in a class, doing yoga, because there is that sense of community. There
Yeah,
is that support you get from just being around other people, which many of us realized during the pandemic that we missed tremendously, and we
hmm
noticed that
hmm
absence.
Yeah, before the pandemic, I was going to a yoga studio 2 or 3 times a week, and I just loved that place. And then when the pandemic hit, I was just kind of, a little bit of a loss. And unfortunately, I just didn't go back because I don't know. I started teaching again and I don't know, but I guess I didn't miss it enough to go back. But I
Well,
did recognize that, oh gosh, that sense of community and that kind of like-minded, and we're all doing this together. We're all working on our own stuff together as a group and the support. Yes.
the pandemic was such a disruption for everyone for so long, for two
Yeah.
years, that by the time it ended, everyone was in different patterns and what they were doing and different
Right.
routines. I
Right.
too had a regular yoga class that I went to for 7 years leading up to the pandemic, and the women in that class, we considered each other our yoga sisters, and we did things outside of class together. We went on field trips. We went traveling
Right.
together. Um, we would make dinner soup nights that we would have all the families over to. And then it could never revive after the pandemic. One of the women passed away during the pandemic, and she was the one who kind of was the
The,
centerpiece, the host of everything.
right.
And
Right. Yeah.
other people moved during the pandemic, and there was just, it
Yeah.
wasn't able to be revived.
Yeah. 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 That's unfortunate. But yeah.
So, how does yoga provide relief from aches and pains and in your joints?
So yoga provides, relief by the stretching, the breathing, the awareness of movement. Um, our bodies were built to move, right? They were built to move, and we have, joints that are hinges. We have muscles, tendons, ligaments, connective tissue, bones, and a brain and a nervous system. And we're built to move and we're meant to move. We need to move. Movement is medicine, as we're hearing more and more now. And so yoga, I think, encapsulates all of that, the movement, the breath work, the stillness, even stillness. But yeah, I think through the stretching and through movement and strength training with different poses, um, um, learning to, I just keep coming back to stretching, but just extension, a lot of extensions in the postures that we do. Um, yeah. A lot of
A
people
lot
I
of
hear,
release, right?
yeah, a lot of release. Yeah. Like I said, when I go to the gym and when I'm done, I hold that child's pose. And when I get up, I mean, it just feels so much better because I've taken the muscles and have stretched them out. And then when I get up, they're like, okay, it's comfortable now. So, um, I forgot what I was going to say, but yeah, yes, yes, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
I also think too that the way that your muscles are conditioned and toned during yoga helps hold your joints in place. It
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of the tension off of those tendons and those ligaments for
Mm-hmm.
holding things together because your muscles are developed to be
Stabilize.
right.
Yes,
Thank you.
right.
That's the word I
Yeah,
was looking for.
yeah, stabilize. Yes, definitely, definitely stabilizing for sure. And the mobility. So stabilizing and giving you the ability to move better. So yeah, definitely.
Going back to what you were talking about yoga being very adaptive, that is something I appreciate myself too, because as someone with multiple sclerosis, probably my most prominent MS issue is balance. And there are yoga poses that will come up in a yoga class, like standing on one leg. And standing on one leg is not something that I can do very easily or for very long, but I can modify it so that even though I am not doing the one-legged pose for 5 minutes like the instructor is, I can
Right.
still benefit and I can still participate in the class
Yeah.
depending
Yes.
on my level of fitness and abilities.
Yes, yes. And if your instructor is giving you different ways to kind of ease into your balance, that's bonus. And it's funny that you mentioned balance because I am focusing on balance this month. So through my social media platforms, I've been posting little tutorials on different ways to balance, and not necessarily yoga poses, but just standing on one leg and incremental. It's incremental. So again, functional, incremental. So incremental meaning, so you're standing on one leg, we're going to stand on the left leg, you're going to lift the right foot, but we start foot's on the floor, lift the heel, and you may have a chair beside you if you need it. Then you can lift the toes off the floor, and tease the toes off the floor. You can hover the foot off the floor. You can lift the leg up a little bit higher and then lift it up higher. And then, and if you're using the chair, you can tease the hand off the chair while you're back. Like there's just different ways to be able to teach someone. It's really important to make sure that participants are included in what we're teaching, included meaning their ability is included, so they don't feel defeated and not come back. I mean, that has happened, just whip into a sequence and then people are frustrated walking out the door and they won't come back. They won't come back because they're just like, I can't do it. It's just, I don't want to do it again. Yoga is hard. Yoga is messy. Yoga is challenging. It can be. But the flip side is yoga is full of heart love, full of compassion, and meeting ourselves where we're at on the mat. So, yes, definitely.
Are there other forms of exercise that are similar to yoga, or is yoga really a standalone, unique
Well,
method?
I mean, I think Pilates is can be kind of similar. I think Pilates, I know Tai Chi is becoming very popular. There's probably some movements in there that are very similar. Yeah. So probably yes, yes, yes.
So I know that the breathing techniques in yoga can help reduce neural inflammation. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
The breathing, so so it regulates our nervous system, the breath does, right? And if we can calm our nervous system down, we can, you know, take the neural pathways are just kind of settling down as well. And um, I feel like it's just all connected. So you start with the breath, it starts to calm the person down, the brain starts to settle down, the stressors start to kind of melt away, that kind of thing. So yeah, Yeah. And the breathing is more, the inhale and the exhale, and it's deeper. The shallow breathing that a lot of people do is not as effective as that belly breathing that we talked about earlier. So just something about it, just the action and the oxygen that comes in feeds the cells, feeds the brain, and sends a message to the nervous system like, okay, it's time to settle down a little bit. And it's one of the easiest, most forgotten and free tools that we have today to use, for, for neural. So when we settle down, then hopefully the body doesn't have to be in this constant state, like I said earlier, this constant state of fight or flight, which kind of, kind of influences inflammation. If we can just calm the nervous system down, and that just kind of ripples out into the rest, and hopefully the inflammation it may not go away right away, or it may not go away completely, but at least it can take the edge off and settle, just kind of help settle things down. So,
One of the common causes of inflammation is lack of lymphatic drainage. There are a number of yoga poses that can really help with lymphatic drainage.
mhm.
Is there any
Yes.
that you think of off the top of your head that you can
I,
share?
I'm going to say all of them. And so anything that anything that requires movement, because the lymphatic system, it's made up lymph nodes, lymph vessels, and lymph fluid. So the lymph system does not have a pumping system like the heart is for the circulatory system. So it relies on movement. So any movement, flow, nothing super fast. It doesn't like fast, quick movement. Any kind of flow, connecting poses together. And I would say probably any moving flow poses versus just one pose per se. It's more about the movement and the connection of the poses. Yeah. Yeah. The flow to kind of help move that lymph fluid through and squish those
Mhm.
lymph nodes. So, and maybe holding poses could be good, like where the clusters of lymph nodes kind of sit in the body. So that might be kind of, you bring your arm over, that, good squish, and then open them back up. That's the other thing I like about yoga is we'd go in one direction and then the other. We go in one direction and then the other, you go, up and down. So I like doing that because it's really important, in our 3D world that we, try to address all planes of movement. So yeah, yeah,
Well said, because I think there's many, many forms of exercise that don't address all planes of movement. They just address back and forth or side to side or up and
right,
down.
right.
And that could even walking, I think, is not actually an optimal form of physical exercise because it's so repetitive and you're just doing the same movement over and over. You're not really working the rest of your body or
Right,
building that muscle in the rest of your body.
right, 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 right. And yoga gives you that opportunity to do that because of where you can, where we place the body in different, like I said, in different planes. So it's good. And yes, walking. I love walking, but you're right. And I have seen people starting to walk backwards and people are starting to walk side to side and, things like that. But yeah, if you're just doing something that's the same all the time, you're only going to condition and train those same muscles. So that's, a lot of times people get sore when they try new things because their muscles, haven't, certain muscles haven't done that kind of movement before. And so, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You touched a little bit on adaptive yoga, like you can do it in a chair. And I kind of want to talk a little bit more about how, regardless of your fitness level when you start, or your body shape, or your body weight health, like if you are obese, you can still do yoga. You can still start a yoga practice and start moving your body in ways that your body can manage wherever you're starting.
That's exactly right. So if getting down on the floor is not something that you want to do, at least to start with, and sit in a chair, there's a lot of great yoga sequences, chair yoga sequences you can do in the chair. And you could do stuff going from the chair and standing up, which is really good, especially for seniors. If you are only on the ground, and so there's stuff you could do on the ground. If you only, I don't know if you only stand, but there's stuff you could do just standing. There are, yoga now for people who are, paraplegics, or well, I mean, they can move their upper body, so they can, in a wheelchair. It's interesting because I have an uncle who he had a severe spinal injury, so he's on, you know, crutches, and he's got braces on his legs. And so I've been posting on my Facebook about balance, and he's like, well, how does that work when, and I was like, well, you know, let's figure that out, So, still, even though you have three legs, you still, lift one leg, you're still balancing. It's just different. That's all. It's just different. And so yeah, so chair yoga is becoming very popular, especially amongst the seniors, because a lot of them don't want to they don't want to get up and down because it's hard. It's hard. And so yoga for Parkinson's, I have taught yoga for Parkinson's, which is really fantastic. But yeah, so more and more, I'm seeing that more and more adaptive yoga, because we do want to include prenatal yoga, people who are going through chemo treatments for cancer. I mean, breast cancer survivors, there's certain things they're not supposed to do, but that it's adapted for them. I mean, there's just so many, many, many ways that it can be adaptive. And it's really, I don't know, I think it's really important to be inclusive as much as we can. I mean, it can be challenging when I have someone come through the door in a group class, and they might have a brace on or something. And so, I have to immediately think, okay, I want to make sure that this person is included, before I start the class. So otherwise, they won't come back, as we talked about earlier. So.
Yes. Another thing that I know is a concern for the MS community in particular is being able to maintain the ability to be able to maybe move yourself from, say, a wheelchair to the commode, right? Onto the
Right,
toilet yourself, or to get yourself out of the toilet by yourself and
right,
back into
right,
your wheelchair or to wherever, regardless of if you're in a wheelchair or not, to get on and off that toilet. That's a huge form of independence. And
right,
once you lose that ability, you're very dependent. And now you need an aide full time. And
right,
that changes life for everybody around you.
right, 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 right. So, trying to keep trying to stay strong as much as a person can with MS, and any, chronic inflammation condition. The key is to stay strong, and, we just keep practicing, keep practicing. So that, I mean, that's something that someone can do in a wheelchair. So, practice these little kind of push-off lifts. I was very similar to, kind of doing a plank pose. So on the forearms, just like, just push off and just push off. I say it's easy, but it's not. It's not easy. But the only way, if they want to change that, they have to take control of that. If they don't, then it's okay. We all have a choice. So, and to seek out somebody that can help them do that.
Yes, it is. It's always a choice, right? Because only you can do this for yourself. Nobody can condition your muscles to
No,
give you more strength
right.
to do the work for you. You have to choose to do it yourself.
That's exactly right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
always say move it or lose it. You can choose not to move around, but now you're not going to be able to have that choice. That choice will
yeah,
be taken away from you.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it behooves yourself to make that choice to help yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said before, we're built to move. Even if we're in a situation, or we have a health condition where, it's limited, you can still move. You can still move. All your internal organs are moving, your heart, blood, all that's moving. You can still move. It may be limited, it may look different, but you can still move. If you can move, you can do yoga.
Wise words. I love. Let's leave this on that note.
Yeah.
So, how can people find you and learn more about what you do and get a hold of you?
Yes, you can email me at carol@lifespirewellness.com. I also have a website. It's www.lifespirewellness.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Carol_Rubino_HHC. And on there, I'm doing a lot of like tutorial videos and things that people can just kind of scroll through and look and see if there's anything that strikes their fancy. Right now, like I said, I'm focusing on balance. So we got a lot of little fun balance stuff, just kind of like where in your life do you balance on one leg? There are places that you do that. Just think about it. So yeah.
That's a really good point. Um, I like that. So it's Carol Rubino, Rubino, and Life Spire, Spire, just to make it very clear to anyone who is
Yes.
listening.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Carol, for coming on today. I think this was a great conversation and a different aspect of controlling inflammation in our body than we've covered before. But I think it's very important for people to be aware that this is available to them and something they can pick up very easily, very economically, and
Mhm.
it's all on you on how you progress and how often you do it and how much you do of it. So
Yes. Yes.
absolutely accessible for almost everybody.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. And I thank your listeners as well.
Thank you. Tune in next time to the Inflammation Investigator. We'll talk to you then. And that's another case filed on the Inflammation Investigator. Remember, every symptom is your body's way of communicating. We just need to learn the language. If today's episode sparked something for you, I want to hear about it. Share your own investigation discoveries with me on social media at Elizabeth Yarnell or find me at elizabethyarnell.com. Your experience could be exactly what another listener needs to hear. And make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. And here's the thing about investigations, they work best when you're not going it alone. If this podcast is helping you uncover the answers you've been searching for, please like, rate, subscribe, and review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. As a new podcast, these actions mean more than you know. Want to dive deeper into your own inflammation investigation? Head over to inflammationinvestigator.com, where you can take my free inflammation quiz to uncover which hidden triggers might be affecting your health. Until next time, this is Elizabeth Yarnell, your inflammation investigator, reminding you that the solutions to your health issues are out there. Let's find them together.